Hi everyone, and you are welcome to this lecture, Namespaces and Scopes in Python. In this lecture, we are going to learn about some important concepts that you have to be familiar with in context of Python programming language. So I will introduce you to the meaning of scopes and namespaces. Then we will understand the differences between built-in namespace, global namespace, local namespace, and finally I will end up this lecture by a quick summary. So let's get started. First of all, let's start talking about scopes. Before now, we see that whenever I want to define an object in Python, I will give it a name. And usually, names or identifiers can be defined inside the main body of a Python code file, which we call module, or these names can be defined within a function body. You have to know that whenever an identifier is created, this identifier belongs to the area in which it's created. In other words, this identifier is known only in this area and sub-areas within that area. In Python, this area is known as a scope, and all the names which are defined within this area is known as namespace. In other words, namespace is the set of names that can be used within a scope without getting unknown name error. Now let's see the available namespaces in Python. The first one is the built-in names, and this is known as built-in namespace. Built-in namespace has all the names that defined by Python programming language developers, so you can use this name directly without any problem anywhere inside your code. The second namespace we have in Python is a global namespace, and this global namespace is for each module you will define, and it has all the available names or identifier defined within that module. The last namespace is known as local namespace, and this namespace has all the names defined within a function body, which means for each function we have a local namespace. Now let's see the relationships between these namespaces. This diagram here will show you that built-in namespace is the largest one, whereas function or local namespace is the smallest one, and module namespace is in the middle. We can understand from this diagram that any name which is defined in the built-in namespace, we can use it directly in any module in Python or in any function in Python without any problem. Also, any name defined within a module, it can be used by any function directly defined inside this module, not inside functions defined outside of this module. And the last point here, function or local namespace. From this we can understand that any name defined within a function can be used only within the function namespace without any problem. So keep this in mind. The largest one is built-in, the smallest one is function namespace. Now let's move to PyCharm IDE to see some code examples to understand what I mean by these namespaces. The first example that I want to show you is the following. Assume I want to get the minimum number between 1, 2, 3. In order to do that, I will use mine function, and then in order to print the value, I will use print function. Run. You will see the code works without any problem. In this simple code, I use two functions, mine and print. And you will note that I use this function without any import statement, and I got no exceptions or error. Why this happened? Because mine and print are two names belong to the built-in namespace in Python. And as I mentioned before, any name available in this built-in namespace can be used anywhere in your Python code without any problem and directly. Now let's see one more example to understand the idea of a global namespace. Assume I have the following simple code. I have a variable d equal to 5, and then I want to print d. And look here, I am printing the d in the same module. After that, I will define a function, its name function1, and within this function I am printing d. Inside function1, there is another function defined, its name function2, and here also I am printing d. Then I will call function2, after that I will call function1. Let me run. You will see that d has been printed 3 times, one in the main module, one in the function1, and one in the function2. And we will see that no errors happen. Why this happened without any problem? Because d is defined in the global namespace, which means in the module namespace. Therefore, D as a name is known and defined in this module and any function defined within that module. Now, if you try to create another module, let's say for example temp2, and you try to say just print D, directly you will get an error. Why this error happened? Because D is not available in the namespace of module temp2. It's just available in the namespace of temp. And if you want to print D in this module, you have to import D from module temp before you do that. The last example that I want to show you is about local namespace. So in this example, I will define a function, its name function1. Within this function, I will define x as a variable equal to 5. Inside function1, I will define another function, its name function2, and I will print x. I will call function2, which will print x. Then I will call function1. Then I will try to print x outside of function1. Let's see what will happen. Run. As you see, inside function2, x is 5. So when I call function1, I run this code, which means function1 call function2, and x has been printed. But when I try to print x out of function1, I get name error. X is not defined. Why this happened? It's very simple. Because x is defined in the local namespace of function1, which means x is known and defined for function1 scope and any other function or class defined within function1. But outside of the scope of this function, like here, in the scope of the module itself, x is not defined. And for this reason, I got name error. So be careful. The name which is available inside a function, it's not available outside of the scope of this function. And that's all for this code session. Now let me summarize what we have learned in this lecture. First of all, scope has been defined, and we see scope is an area in which identifiers are defined. After that, I defined namespace as a set of defined identifiers or names within an area. In Python, mainly we have three namespaces. We have built-in namespace, a global namespace, and local namespace. And we see that built-in namespace is larger than global namespace, which is larger than local namespace. And I mean by larger here, which means anything available in the built-in namespace is available in any global namespace. And anything available in a global namespace is available in all local namespace. Now please refer to the file Namespaces and Scopes in Python Challenges, in which you will find some challenges to practice what you have learned in this lecture. Thank you very much for your time, and if you are available, join me in the next lecture.